Hey there, today we're gonna be demoing this shed. I'm gonna show you how to safely break it down and dispose it. And as we do this, we're gonna be talking about the materials in the shed that's worth saving if you decided to build a new one and what's not worth saving. And towards the end, I'll be sharing some numbers with you on how much the junk removal service will charge to remove this shed out of your property. Before you start demoing the shed, you want to have a plan on how to get rid of the trash. In many counties, there are specific places where you can dump construction and demolition debris. In my county, I have a transfer station that I can bring this trash and I pay by weight. And what I recommend is that you rent a dumpster trailer. This way you reduce the number of trips to the transfer station. Some people would choose to rent a U-Haul and that works just fine. In my case, I have a carport and a very tight turn to get to the shed. So I chose to rent an 8-foot long trailer out of Home Depot. This shed was in such a bad shape that the vines grew all over it. And inside the shed, there was clearly signs of termites infestation. So let's go ahead and demo out this shed. And I start by clearing the inside first. Using a sawzall, I chopped off these benches and I brought it over to the trailer. The larger bench was in pretty decent shape, so I decided to save that for a later project. And once the inside is all cleared out, it's time to move to the outside. And outside, I removed the 2 windows that was on this shed. I did that first so I don't have to deal with any broken glass later on in the project. Then it was time for me to start working the outside sheeting. I thought it would be best if I cut the wall in half. That way I only have to deal with half a sheet at a time. I did that on the front and side wall. And with the pry bar, I started removing the sheet at a time. I noticed it was best if I work on the inside. That way I could hammer the sheet loose and with the pry bar finish taking it off. And then the more I did, the more confident I got. And I ended up switching to removing a full sheet at a time. With the hammer, I loosened up the sheet, and with the sawzall, I cut it off the nails holding the sheet to the wall. This made the process much easier. And after doing the first few, you end up getting the hang of this, and you can just fly through removing all the other sheets. Once the sheets are removed, the next step is to cut the bottom of the 2x4s so the wall can fall over on the other side. Alright, I just want to say that you need to be very careful at this point, right? So at this point, half of the material, half of the sheeting, it's already removed. So you're gonna see the walls really loose and fleas be inside of the shed. So get yourself out of there and start working on the outside. The goal is to take the shed and push it over on one side so everything comes down and then you can safely remove everything from the ground. Using a 2x4, I started pushing the shed over and I noticed that it was leaning towards the left side. And at this point, it's probably too late trying to correct the direction of the fall. You just have to go with it. It's too risky for you to put yourself in the way trying to move the shed to the other side. So that didn't go as planned. The shed didn't tip over all the way to the other side. It actually is sitting on top of the other shed. For now, the only thing I can do to salvage this situation is try to work small sections at a time until that's movable, and maybe tie a rope to it and finish the tipping over. I guess lesson learned, if you're doing this, be very careful. And two, I'll recommend probably taking all the sheets out first, and then that way you can actually point the direction of the tip and make the shed tip the way you want it to go. And that's what happened. I started chucking away a small section at a time of this shed from the roof to the walls. And that way I make sure I was making progress and yet being safe at the same time. I do recommend that you get yourself some new blades. Cutting through asphalt shingles like these and just general demolition, it eats up pretty good of the blades. My go-to blades from anything from carpentry to demolition are these Diablo blades. And as far as Sawzall blades, I really like this bi-metal Diablo 9-inch blades. They work really good whether you're cutting through wood or nails. And after working on this a little more, half of the roof is gone. Now we just have to go on the other side and work on the other half. But first, it's time to make a run to the transfer station. This load cost me about $50 at the transfer station. It does depend if you are resident or not, so check your local transfer station or dump yard. Back from the transfer station, I load up the rest of the roof, chucking away a little at a time. Eventually, you get down to the floors, and it's a home stretch from there. This 10 by 14 shed took 2 full trailers plus the bed of a pickup full of trash. Again, if possible, I recommend renting a dump trailer. It makes much easier unloading. It's worth the extra money. But if you're trying to save money, this is a very doable project. It's just very hard work, but doable. As far as cost, I had the trailer for 2 days, and a daily rental for the trailer was $60. Also, there was 2 trips to the transfer station at $50 each, plus some blades that I had to purchase. All in, I had invested $250 to $260 on demolishing the shed and getting rid of it. I did contact a few professional service, junk removal service, and they charged me an average of $1,000 to remove a trailer just like the one we had. There was one service that did say they could offer the removal of the shed for $350, which got me questioning, their margins. I hope that through this video you learn how much work and money goes into demolishing a whole shed and getting rid of it. And if you like this video, next I'm gonna be fixing that shed and you wanna check that out, you can find it right here. I hope you learned something and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.